All right. Peace. You already know where you at. You know who you rocking with, right? All right. So let's get to that. I got some special guests in the building today. Is the Wisdom God Bill. You feel me? We're gonna be discussing what is a savage in a pursuit of happiness, amongst other things. You know, just a general cipher. You did, gentlemen. Could you please introduce yourself?
Elder God, you go first.
Peace. My righteous name is Shabu Biallah. I'm originally from East Medina, Brooklyn, Cypress Hills. I got the knowledge and knowledge born God equality, which is 1976. At the age of 14, learned 120. I was first introduced to the 5% Nation in 1973. You know, where my cousins over in Albany Projects or Law Projects, they went from being gangbangers, they was jolly stompers and ex-cons, and that's when I was first introduced to the knowledge, but I didn't accept the knowledge until the year 1976.
Yes, Lord.
Peace, yo. Hey, peace, everybody should know who I am, man. I'm a new face in here. It's the King, New Jersey, BTBTV, Mr. Eastwick. I go by the honorable name, born divine, almighty Allah, the true and living God. You know what I'm saying? Most of y'all watch both of our channels, so y'all know our history, know how we met, y'all know how we fell out, and now you're gonna see how we bring it back. Like I said, it's not like the art of war. The art of war. Sun Tzu. It's nothing, yo. It's not like the 48 laws of power. When you crush your enemy, crush them till they don't exist no more.
Yes, Lord.
Yo.
What I said, boy, is like a karate flick. You know, when a clan roll on another clan, they look to kill everybody in the clan because they don't want nobody to come back for revenge. So we had to eradicate the savage today on the Wisdom God Day. All being born to born.
Sure indeed. Our names, all three borns up here.
Mm-hmm.
Power, absolutely. You know what it is, man.
Shout out to Monique Hill. All right.
Gentlemen. There's a lot going on in the media, but I think we're gonna skip forward past the BMF thing right now at the beginning. I saw a video that was disturbing. Somebody sent me a disturbing video of a guy that was saying disparaging things about me, to say the least. But not only myself, he brought the entire nation, the 5% nation of gods and earths, into the equation or whatnot with this rhetoric, and he produced a lot of misinformation. So, you know, I'm gonna play a clip of his video, and I'm gonna leave it to the gods to clear up the nonsense. Let's get to it.
Y'all can, let me say this shit first. Y'all can miss me with that 5% shit. You know why? Because for those of you who don't know, the whole 5% nation came out of the Nation of Islam under the tutelage and guidance of Master W. Farad Muhammad. Clarence 13X was a learned man, but he wasn't the chosen one. He wasn't the one who Master Farad Muhammad chose to lead the Nation of Islam. As a result of him not being selected to be the national representative of the Nation of Islam, he did the same thing that the devil, that Satan, that Iblis did. He started dwelling in the land of animosity. He started dwelling in the land of jealousy, envy, and spite, and broke away from the Nation of Islam because he wasn't chosen. The whole movement of the 5% nation was born out of rebellion and objection to Clarence 13X not being chosen. That's a fact. That's why when you look coast to coast, when you look worldwide, all you see is a minuscule representation of those who purport to be Muslim. They're not a proper representation of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They're not a proper representation of he who came in the darkness of night, but for the express purpose of liberating the minds and properly educating black men and women who are the children of our former slave masters. So the 5%ers are nothing more but a ragtag collection of motherfuckers who don't want to bear witness to the rules and regulations.
You want to hear the first one, or you want me to go?
No, go ahead, guy. Get busy, man.
All right. First, I'm gonna start out with today's degree in the 1 to 40, or let me say, a savage is a person who has lost all knowledge of self and is living a beast way of life. Because this is what this show right here is basically about. Okay? The day is Wisdom God. What is the name of the place where the devil was manufactured? Pelon, the same as Patmos, Revelation chapter 1:9, verse, an island situated on the Aegean Sea. Revelation, now John, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was in an isle that is called Patmos for the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. And the reason why I came with that, because y'all my younger brothers and y'all brought me up here on this show today because I specifically go at individuals that talk about our nation and don't have no true knowledge of our origin or where we come from. I would also, before I go into the truth of God, I'd like to give a shout out to the guards and D Mecca, Brother Dominic Savior and his family, Dr. Bahu, Minister Freedom, Knowledge Born, Resurrector, God of Law, Black Messiah, Born Righteous, Master AZ, Knowledge Jabbar, Tamel, and King Wise. And any of y'all brothers that I left out in D Mecca, because I was up in D Mecca 2011, 2012 for 6 months on Chaplin, Joy, Liverworth, Dexter Ave, and the guard was walking through doing his job like God does in the ghettos of hell. So today, I'd like to start out, which is the truth of God, which is the history of our Father. Knowledge. The birth of the Father was February the 22nd, 1928, in Danville, Pennsylvania County, Virginia. In 1944, at the age of 16, he, along with several members of his family, moved to Harlem, New York. He completed 2 years of high school. And October the 30th, 1952, he was introduced into the U.S. Army. While in the military serving, he was a light weapons infantry and master of Kung Fu, Judo, and Karate. On August the 21st, 1954, he received a discharge after having the foreign service in Japan and Korea and was awarded the Korean Service Medal, which won Bronze Service Star, Combat Infantry Badge, Presidential Unit Citation, United Nations Service, and the National Defense Service Medal, also a Medal of Bravery for saving the lives of men belonging to his squad. In 1955, he entered Temple Number 7 of Islam, located at 102 West 116th Street, New York, while in the Nation of Islam as a student. His contributions and his honorable behavior earned him the trust of his associates allowing him to become a member of the Fruit of Islam as Brother Clarence the 13X. In 1957, he moved up in the ranks of FOI to become lieutenant and one of the top instructors of the FOI. In 1960, he was given the Islamic attribute Abdullah, servant of God, by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad during the Savior's Day festivities of that year. In 1963, he left the womb of the womb of Islam to take the knowledge that he had learned to the youth. He was followed by two dedicated companions, the brother John 44 Shaheed and brother James 103X Akbar. That was Justice and Abdul Shaheed. You know, at that time, they usually gave you the X according to when you came in. Like if you was John, that meant that he was the 44th person with that name. So he got John 44X. In the later part of 1963, he and his two companions could be seen walking the streets of Harlem, teaching the youth of the knowledge of self, the devil, and the reality of God Allah. In 1964, he began to establish the foundation for the implementation of his determined ideal. It was this year that he formed the body of the 5% Nation. The first nine born are Kareem Black Messiah, Bishmi Allah, Uhara, Al Jabba, Prince Allah, Dahu, Knowledge Allah, Areen, Rahim, Shasha, Ubika, and Salam. The year 1964 is recognized as the year one of the birth of the 5% Nation. Now, I only went through that so that the people can get a brief history of our father and not deal with individuals that talk about our father and have no knowledge of what the man did and the essence of what he brought to the youth in the ghettos of hell. You even had Minister Farrakhan, I think it was 1988 or whatever, but I was there at Madison Square Garden where Minister Farrakhan said that when it comes to the 5% Nation, no matter or whether they are intoxicated or whatever, is one thing about us that we know our lessons and we live out our lessons. Like you said, in the knowledge equality degree, who is the 5%? The only one in that degree that they talking about that's us is the true and living God. Because the civilized people, the Muslim, and also the Muslim sons, they still bear witness that Allah is mystery or a spook. So to have this individual get up there and be disrespectful to the nation, and I want all of y'all to know that's out there in this whole YouTube, social media, that anytime you say anything about our nation that's disrespectful or information that is false based upon what you may think or not know, then you're going to have a problem. And we definitely are going to address that. No, we are not Muslim. And you can't say, see, a man is held responsible for himself. So we're not a part of a religion because a religion, RE means to repeat. Legend or legend is a myth or a story or tell. So we as God in the flesh, we know that we are held responsible for all our ways and actions. So when you get an individual up there like This dude, first of all, look at his name of what he represents, because a name is a label, but it's also supposed to be a representation of who you are. So he say Dawgface. It's like when we was young growing up in the knowledge, individuals would say, well, you say you God, you know, God spelled backwards is dog. And this is where we came from. We came from out of the stages of being blind, deaf, and dumb to the reality of who we are. And we came into the knowledge of ourself. By coming into the knowledge of ourself, we didn't need no religious order to give us, you know what I'm saying, principles to stand by. Because you know, as an individual, if you out there getting high, if you're not taking care of your kids, whatever you doing that's not right and exact, excuse me, you held responsible for it. And this is why you got a lot of individuals that do all these things out here, murder, rape, or whatever it may be. And as soon as they get incarcerated, what's the first thing they do? They go to run to some type of religious order to so-called give them some relief or would be forgiven for their sin. Where we know in all reality, you held responsible for that. And most of them that fell victim to whatever they fell victim to that caused them to get incarcerated, that was they guard, crack, dope, or whatever, that once they get back out in the free cipher, as we say, you know what I'm saying? They go back to those same things because they don't have the necessary self-discipline. So for an individual to talk about, oh, he didn't reach the top of of in the nation and everything else, Elijah knew who he was. He knew the Father was that 400-year seed that they talked about that would come and give us the true knowledge of self. This is why our first degree in our student enrollment, who is the original man, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth,
Planet
and
Earth,
father
Father,
of
civilization,
civilization is
God of the
what
universe.
causes us to be, and God of the universe is what causes us to be responsible for that. Because when you look throughout history, from the beginning that never began, we are the mothers and fathers of every group of people on the face of the planet Earth. We are the ones that, you know what I'm saying, brought about mathematics, science, astrology, everything that there is. There's also a book, as we know, right, that was called From uh From Niggas to God.
To God, yeah.
But nowadays, we got the whole mentality, what we call subliminal seduction, as far as the music and everything, the drill music. Our young queens talking about their booty is brown and everything else because they say that music calms the savage beast, but also music can create more savages. So it depends on what you put out into the frequency. And by putting those things out into the frequency and the atmosphere, they can control the mindset of the youth. So we went from being gangbangers in New York, Jersey, the tri-state area, or whatever, and we came into the knowledge itself. But nowadays, you know what I'm saying? The gangs is dictating what's going on out there. And most people don't understand that in the black community, gangs was formed to protect the community. Just like when I moved out to East New York, Cypress Hill, which is classified as one of the worst projects that there is up there, many famous street known names that come from that area. When I got out there in the late 60s, the project was predominantly Caucasian. We had to fight and protect ourselves from white gangs. That didn't just take place in New York. that took place on the West Coast, the Midwest, everywhere that we went. You know what I'm saying? We had to form gangs or structures of individuals coming together to protect the community. So where we at nowadays is that we have fell from that grace due to the fact of, we know, the chemical warfare, the crack era that, you know, not just hit our nation as a whole, but it infected everybody. And with that, God, I'm gonna let y'all build for a little minute, but I'm here. I just wanted to lay the foundation before we continue with this, because we deal with intelligence. We don't deal with ignorance. You just can't come out your mouth and say anything that you want to say, and especially about our nation, based upon your emotional reaction to what took place, you know, with a brother or whatever, and now you want to talk about who our father was and what we represent, you know, as being a part of the 5%, of Law's 5% nation of gods and earth.
All right, let me get. Go ahead, God. You want to speak, God? You want me to get to yo, check this out. Let me get to the point, man. I've been part of 5% Nation all my life, born and raised in the 5% Nation. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: I'm not. I got some paperwork with somebody. We got some paperwork with somebody. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. These men up here are not. We are not stoolies. We are not rats. We are not homosexuals. We're not booty bandits when we was in jail. And we don't invite grown men to our private parts. We don't threaten to send pictures of our private parts to grown men's DMs. That's how you can say it? That's grafted mentality stuff right there. When I say grafted mentality, I mean the mind of the white man. Because we didn't start that stuff. We picked it up along the way. For a man to say he was a part of the Nation of Islam, for all these years, he stopped becoming a part of the Nation of Islam because he ain't living a righteous way of life. Or he got expelled from the Nation of Islam. Let me ask you a question, guy. Name some reasons a person will get expelled from the Nation of Islam in prison. Because we know they allow rats in there. They allow the R words in there. Who do they not allow in the Nation of Islam? They find that they're doing something. What they don't allow in there?
Homosexuals. Homosexual activity is the main reason that you will be denounced by the Nation of Islam, especially in the penitentiary where I'm at least, and he was in the penitentiary where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
The penitentiaries in New York and New Jersey too.
Yeah, and the MDOC, they don't, if you playing with boys, then yeah, they don't recognize that as civilized behavior, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? So him running around saying he was so tough, he got kicked out the Nation of Islam, man, you putting that bone on yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying?
And pause on the bone, you know.
Pause, right. Pause on the
no
bone.
Diddy. No
Not
Diddy.
that bone.
Now, hold up. Let me do that again, bro. Let me do that again.
Word.
Right there, right?
Word.
So the individual also, he said some disparaging remarks about me. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much I allow myself up. But it's all good though. I don't dwell on something like that. What I tell you is, where I'm from, if a man invites me to his privates, his genitals, you spit on me, or you smack me, that could cause you to get buried. I'm just being honest. So you talking all this gangster talk, you're screaming loud, you know what I'm saying? You're denouncing the 5% Nation, but you in love with a light-skinned boy from Detroit, from DC. Ooh, is this the Eon?
I believe it is. I believe his name is the Pink Panther, man.
The Pink Panther. What grown man called himself the Pink Panther?
That was his God-given name in the penitentiary, man.
Yeah,
you know
I know.
Yeah.
Yo, God, what grown man called himself the Pink Panther, God?
Something got to be wrong with him to even go into those type of areas, you know. And one thing and two for sure, you know, we know that anytime you go outside of your nature, what you was born physically into this reality, then if you fall victim to your physical self, then you don't have any grounds mentally to even sit up and talk about another individual. And my thing is, like you said, Born, the most disrespectful thing, and you know, we going with geographical locations, but I'm also going with experience and growing up. I knew from a young child that if another man told another man to suck his divine IC kingdom, like you said, those are words that could get you killed. And a lot of individuals think that nowadays, especially on the internet, where you can't see a person face to face, that that's the first thing that they could use to be so disrespectful. And the reason why they use that is because their lack of intelligence and being able to be disrespectful, that the only thing that they can resort to is to invite another man to their private area. The only person, you know, that you should be satisfied with making that statement to is another woman. And a lot of women will find that disrespectful depending on the situation, because it's a very disrespectful statement. And it's a lot of individuals that get up on social media and the first thing that they want to say is to invite another man to the private area. So I can't.
Pause. Let me cut you off, but check this out. And the savage pursuit of happiness told my mother, said my mother could suck on this meat.
Mine as well.
Your children.
She said, the children. He disrespected my man's children. Yo, God. And many times that we were going through, have we ever disrespected each other, kids or parents?
No, sir.
That's one thing that's off limits. You can say what you want to say about me. I can say what I want to say about you to a point. You can say it to a point where we can come back from it. But once you put the kids and the women involved, you cross the line, and that's grounds for you getting stomped on.
Pardon self real quick. Let me interject. He talking about my son, man. My son just signed his first contract to be an actor. He'll be in season 2 of, what is it, City of Savages? City of Savages season 2. It'll be on your Roku television, and it'll be on your Prime, Amazon Prime or whatnot. He's 10 years old. So you got grown bums out here. You know what I'm saying? Disparaging a 10-year-old boy or whatnot because he in his feelings and he not man enough to address the man that he got the real issue with. You dig what I know how to hit my target, homeboy. The truth hurt more than a lie. You feel
that's
me?
That's why he got so mad when I say he was up in that prison in Michigan, messing with them light-skinned boys, them Puerto Rican boys, them Arab boys, all them boys. That nigga was in Boys Town.
Listen, man, a man that continuously says sticking his finger in another man's rectum. You know what he was doing for 17 years in prison. All he talk about is his penis and putting his fingers in men's rectums. So you already letting us know what your game was in there. You know what I'm saying? He good as the booty monster from Turned Out. What's my man Mark Moore? You know what I'm saying?
What's old boy? What's his name? The other one.
Fleece Johnson.
That he Fleece Johnson Jr.
Fleece Johnson.
Yeah, he's Fleece Johnson Jr. He's like, ain't nothing like a man's booty.
Furthermore, for him to call my son or daughter or whoever ugly, my kid's ugly, is pedophilic. What they supposed to be pretty little kids to you, they supposed to be sexy or something. What the flip side of ugly is pretty. So you want my son to be pretty to your 52-year-old pedophilic self? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what that screams to me. You know what I'm saying? Why are you looking at individuals' children and judging them on whatever looks, they parents, whatever you doing? You know what I'm saying? That got nothing to do with the issue. That just lets me know that they dealing off fiction and we dealing in reality. You know what I'm saying? It's two different worlds.
Yeah, God, and like the reality is just like our flag. You know what I'm saying? The universe is everything: the sun, moon, and stars, man, woman, and child. You know, so the father is the leader and teacher and guide of his family. He is the protector. So anytime you violate my family, it's all out war.
Absolutely.
You know? And this is once again what we talking about when we talking about, you know, a savage is a person who has lost all knowledge of self and is living a beast way of life. And you say that you was confined with this individual, so you knew how this individual was moving with inside the penitentiary. So if you fell from grace to the point, you talking about, oh, the 5%ers, we ain't got no discipline. We do this, we do that. But once again, you fell from grace with the worst act that you could do as a man, which is the lust or deal with another man, but you got the nerve to sit up there and talk about the foundation of what we are and what we have done in the ghettos of hell. Because a lot of individuals back then, we know that it's structure within that, but it's also economics. You know, I come from the era where they was, you know, the Muslim Brothers, the Nation of Islam, you know, and all praises due to the messenger and what he delivered, because without Farad coming to the shores of North America, you
Hold on,
know,
parts of God. His name is W.D. Farad Muhammad.
Muhammad. Exactly.
Not Farad Muhammad. It's W.D. Farad Muhammad. If you want to say it right, you say it correctly.
And see, that's the problem right there, because when you're dealing with individuals with lack of knowledge, then they gonna just present, you know, a little bits and pieces, just like he took the clip or whatever of you talking about, you know, you gonna tell to the police. No, that wasn't what you was getting across. It's just like with me. If I'm out and a lot of the young guards or whatever, and they want to ride or something, and I know that you involved with street activity, I'm not no snitch. But I'm going to tell you, at this stage in my life, I'm not choosing to die with inside the confinement of the penitentiary wall. So I'm going to make it clear to you, when you get inside my car, if you got a gun, if you got drugs, or anything of that nature, that if we get stopped by the police, that is yours. You are held responsible for that. I'm not going to not drive you where you want to go, but let's make this crystal clear from the foundation that you are going to be responsible for what you're doing. So you got individuals that want to play games, and they're going to make little clips and everything else to make it seem like, oh, well, Bourne is telling you that he's a snitch. He gonna snitch you out. No, play the whole clip so that you can get a full understanding. Because just like we say in the nation, you know, we take it from knowledge to Bourne. and then from born back to knowledge before we add on the cipher, which makes it complete. And that was the beauty and the gift. See, the difference between us and the Nation of Islam is that we apply our supreme mathematics. The supreme mathematics is the science to our way of life. So once we learn that one is no longer one arithmetic, but that stands for knowledge. Knowledge means to look, listen, observe, and most importantly, respect.
Respect.
So that means that everywhere that I go, you know what I'm saying? The first law of nature is for me to do the knowledge. So if I'm doing the knowledge to an individual that's presenting itself like a savage, then it is my duty as a civilized person, you know, to teach him the knowledge of himself, you know, and to bring him back from the stages of being deaf, dumb, and blind. A lot of individuals nowadays don't want to hear those things, and they say, oh, that's the past, or this, that, and the third. And this is why we got all the things that's going on in our community. When you look at it, because of these individuals, because this is a vehicle, social media is a vehicle to be able to teach the world. We got the youth between the ages of 10 years old to 17, 18. They doing the majority of the killings amongst each other. And this is why the Father came and gave us knowledge of self, because then we learn how to respect one another. Like you said, born with you and the God, I know how far we gonna go with each other, even if we get angry at each other or whatever, you know. And we was taught the first man that throw the blow is wrong. Now, if we can't get along to the point that, yo, boy, you know, justice, we got to go and we got to shoot a 5 with each other. Then that's what we do. Because you could give somebody a black eye, a bloody nose, a busted lip, and they all right the next day.
Help them right up.
It's individuals that I grew up with that I fought 3 or 4 times. I done had cats knock on my door when I was young and say to my mother, you know, Miss Ivory, under my government name, could he come out to fight? There's nothing wrong with a fight. But nowadays,
yes, amen, bro.
You got individuals 90 pounds, 100 pounds, you know what I'm saying? And they got a gun on.
The gun way more than them. The gun way more than them.
You know, and like I said, it's errors of how everything developed. That didn't just develop overnight, you know. So now we to the point where they got all of these high-powered weapons, and you willing to go through 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and shoot somebody's house up and possibly kill the baby or older person that got nothing to do with nothing. My thing is not even against the gangs. It's about the structure and what the gangs now represent. And they terrorizing the community. And y'all better wake up, because Trump is in office. And he said, you know what I'm saying, that y'all gonna be classified as terrorists. Under that act, he could do trading with other countries.
What they call Guantanamo Bay?
Guantanamo Bay. But not only that, countries that owe us money, Honduras and all those places, he can now, or making an attempt to be able to send you to those prisons over there in those countries. You're at a disadvantage because you can't communicate with the language. And if you think that those gangs that's over there, because the more poverty that they come out of, the more vicious that they savagery is going to be. And if y'all not waking up and really seeing the reality of what's taking place, and y'all choose to still do that, because all of us know that been in the belly of the beast. We done watch cats out in the street that as long as they got a gun, they shooting up everything. And now all of a sudden they come to jail without that gun and they become Maytag. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
no,
They end
and
up
I'm gonna tell you
washing
something.
somebody's clothes or something like that. And I don't care how gangster that you are. For one,
Yeah.
now, they can shoot you up with some Thorazine or whatever. But when you got 30 and 40 years and you got 10 years in and you still looking at another 20 years to possibly complete that sentence, a lot of things begin to change. And you start to say, yo, well, maybe I shouldn't have killed them, because ain't all of y'all cats that's doing the killings is really murderers. A lot of y'all is accidental murderers, and the person that I fear the most is
A
a
nigga that's scared.
sucker or a punk that got a gun on him because he ain't willing, you know what I'm saying, to be a man. So his first thought is to use that gun. We grew up in a time where I might be carrying a gun and getting some beef with one of my homies. And because you are my homie, I take the gun and put it down. Let's have a one-on-one fight. Win, lose, or draw.
All right, let me say something real quick. Justice Allah, J Love was like, born that savage wanna be just like Whack 100. I remember you had an encounter with Whack 100. Yeah, yo, Justice. The nigga want to get smacked like Whack 100. You know what I'm saying? That's his problem. He wants somebody to put 5-finger Molly across his face. But I'm not going to do it for him because I know he's going to call the law. Matter of fact, speaking of the law, don't we got the paperwork to discuss the show?
You know what? Born divine almighty Allah. I spoke to Quentin Moore, man, and I'm gonna refrain from putting that paperwork up right now because it's more to that story, and I want us to have it in completion. But you better bet I'm standing on what I said. I'm standing on the paperwork that's already out. That boy is a bona fide rat. You know what I'm saying? Dawgface name should be Ratface. He's a bona fide rat that got a man doing 20 to 40 years in the penitentiary. And if you know, like I know, if you've even watched the video where he was speaking to me, he offers for men to pull up on him. Come on, pull up, pull up. He gives out his address. When this young man pulled up and had an altercation, he wound up going to prison. So for all of you young men out there, baby K True, BMF Boogie, my baby, stay away from that dude. That's a green light gas station you going to. If you pull up on Harper, it's a green light on that building, homeboy. You know it's being monitored by the police, first and foremost. You feel me? Don't fall for the trap. He wants you to pull up there so he can get everything on camera, so he can say you was the aggressor and you agitated the situation or whatnot, and you'll wind up doing 20 to 40 years just the same way Quentin Moore is, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, God,
Stay strong, Quentin Moore.
I'm really glad, God, that you brought that there. See, because all when we dealing with the street elements and exactly what you said, once again, I done been through experience with that, where individuals start some drama with you, call you out, and when you go to retaliate, they done already got the police waiting for you, getting ready to come out the building. Where's the police is coming from? You know? So you got to be wise in all your movements and not let individuals set you up for that trap, because ain't everybody gangster. They can sit there and talk all that gangster shit all they want, but if an individual really know that you about that business, you get there, and now that individual done already called to see Cypher to place you under arrest, like the C Cypher punk, because they getting you out of the way. And the reason why I didn't say punk, because in all reality, they not punks. Umar used to say that to us, because you know sometimes we use our math, you know, to represent certain things. But anybody that can carry a legal gun and can do what they want to do at that moment, they're not a punk. But the reality to it, once again, like y'all stated, is that these are all the variables when you live in that street life. So don't think all the time when an individual is telling you to pull up and they already know your nature. They know that you about the business, or as the youth say nowadays, standing on business, that you gonna win because you're gonna lose. Now you done got knocked with this Draco or whatever you got on you in response. Once again, you got to always think. The thought is everything. It begins and ends with the thought. So if you're not thinking, then you're allowing yourself to walk into traps because ain't nobody just gonna give up their address like that or whatever and not have another plan behind it. This is all entertainment. And they always want to take it too far, with acting like everything is supposed to be like that. This is a whole fake world from the butt shots to everything else that's going on with the women. In my era, if you was born bald-headed or whatever, then you had to live with that. Now they got some hair, then they could get some breasts, then they could get some ass, and it's the same mentality with the young. They gangster until they get in front of that divine evil, that devil, and he's telling them, yo, you getting ready to go away for the rest of your life. Everybody want to walk around and act like it's a big thing for a kingpin to be a rat. 90% of them become rats. Nicky Barnes, Sammy the Bull, or Whitey Bulger, he was working with the feds for over 30 years, still killing
Rayful Edmonds,
right.
fucking Alpo, AZ Faison. A lot of y'all keep saying AZ Faison a rat, but he a bigger rat than Alpo because he told on Alpo and other people in his paperwork. He told a lot of people.
Kevin Childs, listen to Kevin Childs' story, and Kevin Childs will tell you who put the feds on to him. Stop thinking all these delusional, mysteries about what it is, and all reality is not like that because them individuals ain't willing to do that, or they mothers, they old earths get involved because the feds will play dirty. They'll tell you, oh, well, I ain't got you, but check this out. If you don't take this 5 or 10 years right now, I'm coming after your family. And then individuals use that as an excuse for why they told. If you're not into it, just as much as you get the rewards or whatever by whatever you doing in the street, be able to accept the consequences. I faced it 165 years of life for 6 attempt murders on the police, and I'm not bragging about none of these things. I'm using these things to educate the youth. And while I was going to trial, I used to wake up every morning and look in the mirror, and I had to look at the reflection of myself, and I couldn't see no whiskers. I knew I had to stand up and accept the consequences. I'm not going to bring the next man or any of my peoples into a situation that I got caught for. And I ended up beating that in trial. So I know because I done tested myself. If you ain't test yourself and you saying this, that, and the third, then you really ain't built like you think you built, because the consequences that come along with whatever you dealing with, you better be willing to accept that. Don't make up no excuses after you got caught, or no justification for why you told on the other individuals that didn't get caught.
That's a fact. And like when I was in the feds, I came from the feds. What was it? Was it September? June 2020? Right? I got the feds for good. June 2020, got the feds for good. But while I was in there, in my 40s, I was up there with a lot of young boys. I'm talking about a lot of gangbangers. A lot of gangbangers, yo. And they was 18, 19, 20 years old. And when they started calling me Pops and OG, and I'm like, nigga, I ain't your father. Then I had to think about it. I'm in my 40s. I'm here with y'all. I'm the stupid one. So my job is to do right now is to just teach y'all, you know what I'm saying, guide y'all, so y'all won't do it again. I was in there with young boys facing RICO charges, bruh. At 18 and 19 years old, getting caught with narcotics and guns. And they was gonna never come home because of the set they was a part of. The whole set got the same time, basically. These others got multiple life sentences in the feds. You know what I mean?
Yo, Judge, could you go on that same video? I think it's around Wisdom God, where he start to talk about the word is bond thing.
Oh, you talking about the
same
clip I
video
played?
that you just, yeah, the same video you just played from Dawgface.
I can play that video. Just let me know when you want me to stop it.
Yeah, all right. It's around.
Pardon yourself. What you say, Lord?
I said it's around like 27 minutes or whatever when he start talking about the word is bond thing.
Oh, nah, we ain't gonna do that, guy, because that's he's too much profanity. Too much profanity, that guy.
Let me see. Let me see. Oh, you said it's too much profanity in the
yeah.
in what Dog talking about?
Yeah, too much profanity. Let me see. You said a 27 mark?
Sure. Yeah, the 27 mark. He ain't using a bunch of profanity. He talking about the whole thing about word is bond, you know, when the brother just was talking about that.
Is it?
I mean,
It's in your video. It's in the video you made about you, Lord, the King of Jersey one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking for it right now too.
Okay.
Looking live. Hold up. It was the 27 mark, you say?
Yeah, 27-minute mark. It's round up in there.
Used it as an illustrated point, not me. You came down on that shit with conviction and enthusiasm as you describe what you would do if it ever came to a situation where you would wake somebody and they bust them up and bang the nigga, and like in the infamous words of Hassan Campbell, that nigga snot box. You don't want to say that. Why you mad at me? That nigga mad because you dig this shit up. Yeah. He just so happened to be in the motherfucker. Praise Jesus. I rebuke your bitch ass, fat mouth, finger point.
Did that man just say praise Jesus?
Yeah.
No, I mean that's something to talk about, but I know it's like 2750 is somewhere up in there that he start to talk about.
Yes, in the name of the Father, the Son.
Hold on, let's see. 2750.
Or a little bit before 2750 is right there in that area where the brother said word is bond and he.
That's what I'm saying. Words. Okay, listen. Tell me where I'm wrong at. Tell me. Yeah, you're right. 5% are not Muslims. You're right about that, right? Tell me what the fuck the 5% part right now. We ain't gonna get bogged down with religion, bro. Tell me what that is y'all just heard, bro. Tell me. A nigga saying he had tell everybody. Jump in the dog pound, bro.
All right, now there you go with the words bond. Your God.
Yeah.
There you go with the word is bond. Now what you want to say about that?
Well, you know word is bond regardless to whom or what.
Yeah,
you know, and I give my life before my words shall fail. You know, that's the ultimate. I'm not going to just say oath or whatever because I don't want nobody to get this confused with no masonry or anything like that. But your word is your bond, meaning that if you say something out your mouth, like we say one word to change a nation, then you held responsible for that. Like most of the gangs that say nowadays, you know, word on Larry Hoover, King David, or Power Rule, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We were the first ones to take the ultimate, reality of your word being your bond. And this is where we don't come into any conflict. And just like growing up, if I get around an individual that say he like to me, and every time he finishes a sentence, he got to say word is bond, I know to watch that individual. Because your word should be your bond in the reality of what you saying. You're not just going to say things that's not a fact, or you going to say things that you just putting out in the atmosphere to manipulate people. Because words have power and it has meaning. And this is why we going through a lot of things that we going through nowadays in society, because individuals' words are not their bond, and they allow their emotions to supersede their intelligence. And they confuse that because of what we saying or whatever, because we know holy means something that has not been mixed, diluted, or tampered with in any shape, form, or fashion. And we all been subjected to that. But there's a difference between me taking on the reality of abusing my own self, like the intake of drugs or whatever, in comparison to like some individuals that made statements out there. Yeah, the 5%ers, they was giving packs of crack to 9 years old and everything. I'm not going to deny may been going on in their area, but I know from where I'm from, you know what I'm saying, and being one of the originators of the law team, the A team, as they say, out of Cypress Hill projects in East New York, Brooklyn. Most of us that was 5%ers and the individuals that I taught, we would never do anything like that, because we dare to protect the youth. We dare to let the youth grow, not to stun their growth, or they got to worry about while they playing on the basketball courts. Once again, back in those times, no matter what gang activity that was going on, you could go to the park and play ball, and it was off limits for somebody to come by and be shooting at a bunch of youth because they in the park. It's the parameters that's going on now. It's no longer no structure and no regard for life. And a lot of that comes out of the crack era, because I seen dope fiend mothers, I seen alcoholic mothers, and they still took care of their seeds, their babies. But when the crack came along, it changed the whole nature of motherhood. And we all know that the mothers are the first nurturers, because who the seed is attached to for 9 months, born months, is the mother. So the mother has always been the nurturer, and we know that within our communities, a lot of us have survived without our fathers. But imagine surviving without your mother, without that unconditional love. You see, because your mother is the first one that's going to show you unconditional love. So if you got a bunch of children that are being raised without that unconditional love, then it's not hard for them to take the life of anybody else, because they don't know the meaning of love. Love is a high elevation of understanding that exists between two or more people. So we don't have the love. Allah is love. And that's what the Father gave to all of us, and my older brothers that was before me. Those are the things that they passed down to me, and through those teachings of Allah World Manifest, this is why Allah still live, because that's the essence of your very self. This is why we say is arm, leg, arm, head, and like the younger brothers say now, supreme head. Because you got two heads, right? In our supreme mathematics, knowledge is the king, right? You the king because you got two heads. You got the head that's on your shoulders and which you think from, and then you got the head between, your legs. So therefore, that's what makes you the king, because when we deal with the creation of a baby is created through a live seed air particle and a clog of blood. It's no mystery to any of these things right here. Oh, well, you God, go out and stand in front of a bus. All that clown shit that we grew up with. We are living reality. Don't take mystical things and attach that to God. Just like it say in the Bible in chapter 1, verse 26, what it say? And so God made man in his own image and likeness of himself. Like Malcolm said, you know what I'm saying? You can't have two cats in the oven and they mate, and the cat makes a biscuit. No, the cat is going to make a kitten. We have been separated through language. So now you got a Dominican or whatever that'll tell you he not black, but he blue-black. You got an Indian that's blue-black that'll tell you he not black, he Indian, because the reality is he wants us to think that we are all different. So when they say that our lessons is out of date and everything else, that's falsehood once again, because we know we got to renew our history and apply it to the current events of today. And this is how we keep it going.
So, God, let me ask you a question. So, with the DC cat, this DC cat, man, why he always jumping other people's business when he don't have no business to, bro?
He too is also an informant. He informed on his co-conspirators. He's the only one home, by the way. He got arrested for murder. And he informed them that he didn't do the shooting, and he don't think that's informed. Nigga, when you tell him I wasn't the shooter, you pointed the finger at them other two niggas. Now, I don't know if you named the name or not, because his paperwork mysteriously disappeared offline. It's hard to find a traffic ticket on this particular individual. He fancies himself tech savvy. You know what I'm saying?
Or he working for the government still. And trying to keep his
still works for that's also a viable a reason, man, because he for some reason he seems to get sealed documents. Now we know the reason. I can't say out loud the reason because I'm gonna leave that to the other people to say, but we know who he deals with in order to get the documents. But he doctors the documents. You could have a possession with intent to deliver. When he gets your documents, you'll have a tree jumping case. You know what I'm saying?
What? Word, he do that? He be doing that too?
People like this bank on the fact that their audience is too lazy to do their own research.
Yeah,
bank on the fact that their audience will go with their word, will take their word for certain things. You know what I'm saying? That same individual been calling me a rat for 5 years with my inmate number, access to all my government name, my inmate number, and access to all my records. I ain't never pulled no paperwork because it ain't none. But he went from calling me a rat to a rat lover. I can't call him a rat, so I'm gonna call him a rat lover. Cut it out, man. That's projection. You feel me? You can't project that on me because that's what's in your life. That's what's going on with you. So he won. He won two ass nigga. Excuse my language. That's all that is, man.
Yo, I'm gonna say this clown name. Maybe you get some more subscribers. What's his name? Eon Williams.
The DC Blacks. Eon Williams.
The DC Blacks. Eon Williams.
We talking about a man. Let's Elder God. We talking about a man with an active stalker. With active stalker paperwork on a woman that's probably, let's say, 8 to 10 years older than him. I mean, he's actively right now going through court for stalking this woman. And this is no BS. This isn't made up. this individual took videos from my page to court to tell them that, hey, she got him saying stuff about me and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with individuals like that, especially in a physical form, it's a lose-lose situation. You know what I'm saying? Because all he gonna do is tell on you. Just like Dawgface, you feel me? Ain't no retribution for this, because the only thing you're gonna do is tell. You know what I'm saying? Same thing you did to Quinn Moore.
What they call it? What do they call it? The run tell them that. Run tell that nigga. The run tell that.
Tell that. Yeah. Born our power, don't sweat it. We'll just get Terry Price, Esquire on the Family Davis group doc, and Dwayne's personal lawyer. Yeah. That's what we need to do, because some facts got to hit the floor. That's the thing that separates us from them. See, we deal in reality. We deal in facts. We don't deal in fiction. We don't bow our head to no mystery god. So, you know, I mean, and that's not to be disrespectful to nobody that does.
Yeah, bang their head on the floor. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna say is, when we dealing with facts, and we do pull up paperwork. And I do my due diligence. Even for the person that kept saying, "Well, I'm calling Big Meech a rat." I've seen the paperwork. I see the 11C1C. I did the knowledge to it. I seen the docket number. The docket number came up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm letting you know that's not opinion to me. That's a fact, because I've seen the paperwork myself. The docket number was on it. It wasn't diluted or tampered with in any form.
What docket number is that, bro? Because you know I still don't believe Meech is I don't believe Meech bit the cheese. I don't believe he a rat on the trap. I don't believe none of that.
Let me see something. Matter of fact, let me find a video. I sent you the video, and I'm gonna show you.
Byron Blake, right, boy?
Byron Blake, yeah, the guy named Byron Blake that did hold on one
Black
second.
and white.
You can't trust him, yo. See, this is the way I ain't gonna say you can't trust him. It's cool. Byron Blake, cool, and shout out to him and his platform. But if you're gonna put paperwork out, stop panning it. Stop panning from this section to this section. You know how he move around that paperwork? Nah, homie, because that could be manufactured. Show the paperwork where I can see the numbers and everything else on it. You know what I'm saying? And then too, what gets me with people, with a couple of these individuals that's putting this paperwork, is how you got the stuff that everybody else don't. We all got certain paperwork that's floating around the internet, certain stuff you can go pull up immediately, download a PDF, but you got the part where it says this or where she said that. Like the whole Tammy said, can I get Big Meech a time cut thing? The first time I seen that was on 1090 Jake's video. And that was supposed to be what? Leaked from 50 Cent himself. But even then, it's just a square. Why y'all didn't put the complete testimony up, the complete transcript, at least the complete page? Y'all just put up a square like this. For all I know, you can do that on your computer. You dig where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but one thing I said about the Byron Blake thing, that when he showed the paper, it go up, it go down and up. You know what I'm saying? It showed the docket number at the top. He start from the top and he work his way down. With everything.
Hey, boy, what you gotta explain to him what he did in that video under 11C1C, right? That was an agreement between Meech and the judge, right? You got ranges, right? Under them being the principal co-conspirators of that RICO, it was him and Southwest T. This was in 2007, okay? Now, Meech was in there under the 11C1C with an agreement. This is an agreement with just him and the judge. Under that agreement, right, he could get a range of 20 years to a maximum of 30 years, right? This was 2007. But the only way that he was going to be able to get that was that if he got Southwest T not to go to trial. Everybody knows, and see, that's why I don't have co-defendants. on what I was talking about, that my case that was serious like that. You don't got co-defendants, because when you got a co-defendant, whatever he cop out to, later on, if you go to trial, what he copped out to, which is admitting to what took place in that crime, can be brought back up and held against you. So now they was willing to give Meech to take the life off of it and give him that agreement, okay? Now, when he went to meet with Southwest T, Southwest T lost his mind because Southwest T wanted to go to trial. It got so crazy in the room between them. And see, this is where I'm saying people don't understand the games that the government play when they out to make a situation have a certain way. They even had their father there, and their father is the one that got Southwest T to cop out to the 30 years. But understand that Meech had already made that agreement with the judge. And the only way that he could get the life taken off and get the minimum of either 20 years to 30 years was to get his brother Southwest T to go along with not going to trial. This is where it all first began. So everybody want to sit up there and say this. And like I said, once again, I was around them 2004, 2005 down in Atlanta and everything else. But I know what games to play. I was dealing with the equality. I wasn't messing with no third, no none of that. And offers been made that we could have got it 13.5 a brick from them at that time. But I already knew from experience that you got billboards and everything up there, you know, talking about the world is yours. You think they just gonna let you move around like that? A lot of people are still, they never brought up, or I haven't heard anybody bring up that they pulled Meech over one night coming from a club and took $2 million worth of jewelry from him, you know, and he never even went back to get it. So my thing is that out of all this paperwork, and let's just be logical about this, right?
Yes, sir.
He signed his rights over to Tammy. You think out of all the people, his woman, Blue, everybody else that he had out in the street, and see one thing also under that 11C1 1C1, that it also states up in those areas, like with Frank Lucas, he couldn't make no money off of his story. That wasn't with Meech because it wasn't, the violent part wasn't involved. So he could have came home and held on to his right and did everything himself, okay? But going back to what I'm stating is, with the Suarez and the Cuffy thing, okay? Meech met the Mexican cat when he was locked up in Detroit. Everybody, just like Sean had brought out a few days ago, it's no third party cooperation in the Northern District of Georgia. The United States law, if it applies to one state, it applies to all the states. So what I'm saying is that Suarez and Cuffy could not be put together without this broad Tammy. Tammy already sent the first cat to jail, which was Terry White. Why did she send him to jail? Because supposedly she went over there one night. He had another woman there, told her to beat it and everything else. And that's where, you know, we know it's no hell like a woman's, you know,
Scorn.
Right? So what I'm saying is to a G is that there's no way that Tammy would have knew any one of them to put in play. So from way that I see it, it may be my personal opinion of this, because you got a lot of individuals that's not going or refuse to see it this way. Why would he sign those rights over to Tammy? My thing is, we're going to make a fair exchange, which is no robbery. I'm going to give you the rights to BMF, but you're going to work to help me get a time cut.
All right,
It's going to
guys,
be
check this out.
shown in the paperwork over and over and over again that Meech knew what this chick was doing. But everybody want to look past that and just act like he had no involvement with it. But how could he not have any involvement with it when Suarez and Cuffy would not have been brought together without it? When you listen to Cuffy with the $250,000 that he had invested to make the movie and everything else, like I said, she might have killed two birds in one stone. You got Cuffy and now Meech up on that indictment or whatever with that. But it all fell apart because she ended up dealing with this cat, Keith Cromer. And what people got to understand, remember for Terry White, how she got the 55,000, she got the 55,000.
Hey, you got,
A lot of people
Pastor.
is not bringing up because that when they raided Terry White's crib, she went back and told him, because remember she was dealing with Jack Harvey first, right? That $34,000 of the jury that was found in the crib that was forfeiture was her jury. So they gave her a check for $55,000. After that, she received another check for $80,000. Now remember, she was supposed to have been working, locking up Mexicans with the drugs and carrying the money. None of that shit ever took place. But this nigga Keith Comer, he was so much in love with the Punani that he was making sure she got paid. So he called Jack Harvey and said, yo, where am I getting this $80,000 from? How come I'm getting so much? Unknowingly, that the other bureau of the feds, we know on the state, they call internal affairs or whatever, they might be called inspector general or whatever, they was already on to them dudes because they wanted to know why would she keep getting all of this money and not doing no work. So they put Keith Comer under investigation. This is where
Pause of 1 second. I just got some information sent to me.
Turn your mic on.
My mic is low. Can you hear me, guy?
Yeah.
You can hear me? You can hear me? All right, check this out. All right. I got some important information concerning our fellow YouTube brother, Dawgface Gremlin.
You still sounding a little bit low, boy, and I don't know why.
I sound on my end. I don't know why.
Oh God, you gotta come back. You gotta come in and come back out.
All right.
Yeah, you gotta go and come back out. That's probably what it is. All right. So we're gonna start this off. On 8/6/18, I, Detective CC, assisted in an investigating a shooting that occurred at West Hampton. I was briefed on the incident that had occurred by Sergeant Russell prior to the assistance or the investigations. All right. Detective Week that I began the investigation by speaking with Christian Austin. See, which report for the interview of Austin. Christian Austin is Dawgface.
Absolutely. So you said that they started with interviewing Dawgface, and they said see Detective Week's notes on the interview from Dawgface. So that would imply that he made a statement in the Clinton Moore attempted murder case, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay, bro. Like I said, we got some more pay. We got more than that coming. But
yes,
I spoke to him personally today for about 15, 20 minutes or whatnot. He wants to get his complete story out in its totality. That's why I didn't want to just put up a clip of the paperwork here and this and that and other. From what I heard today, there's video or whatnot. So I'm going to work on trying to get the interrogation video.
Oh, that. Oh, yeah.
Or whatnot. You know, outside of that, though, when I asked that gentleman, Dawgface, what did you tell the police? He told me I didn't tell him anything. I let the young lady do all the talking. I said, what you say to him? They ain't asked you why you was hiding next door behind the next door neighbor's garage with your drawers and your Apple Watch on and one sock. He said, no, she had already told him this and that and the other. I didn't have to tell him nothing. I said, what happened when you got to the station? He said, they put me in a room, but I told him I didn't want to talk. But that ain't what the papers say though, right? Right, Born?
No, it's not. The papers say he was eager to talk.
Now, if somebody refused, don't you think that the police would put, we went to interview Christian Austin and he refused to interview, or
yeah.
He didn't want to interview at the time, or whatever the case it would be.
Indeed.
It wouldn't be no notes because he wouldn't have interviewed, correct?
No, you're right.
All right. That's all I want to say. That's all I want to say on that tip right there. Now back to this Big Meech thing, man. Team Big Meech all day. Elder God, listen, you brought up a point about him how could he not know what Tammy was doing? From the paperwork that I've looked over, there was a point when she panicked because her name came up in some documents that she felt like would let the people she was telling on know exactly who she was. At that point, it says she drove to Louisiana where Meech was and tried to get in touch with him and couldn't. But then she wound up having a conversation with him wherein he told her, just make sure my name don't come up. Now, that's the first time I heard about him knowing what she was doing.
Oh, all right. You just hit a key point. And guess who drove her up there? Terry White drove her up there. What happened is that it was St. Louis feds that she called because they had let out the information on her house, her daughter, and everything else. That's when she got scared and started getting phone calls from people that was threatening to take her life. So now she wanted to go see Meech to let Meech know the cat is out the bag. And Meech said to her, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on. Just keep my name out of it. Look at that statement. Why would a person say to you, just keep my name out of it, if they didn't have any prior knowledge of what was already taking place? Tammy had said numerous times before with those agents that I am doing what I'm doing to get a time cut. Also, there was a time where she was talking to them and she was saying to them, she got to keep getting the money because the money is helping her with putting money into Big Meech's commissary. My thing is, I ain't got nothing to lose or win. When I was around the individuals, they treated me with the utmost respect. I treated them with the utmost respect. But my thing is that once again, when we talking about documents, we talking about paperwork. When you can get up there and you can either go to, you know what I'm saying, the state, or that site that they use that start with a P that usually got everybody's information on it. Sean G, a bunch of individuals have been doing this by reading from solidified documents. I could sit here all day long and tell you, oh, I didn't tell anything. But at the end of the day, when you look up that docket number and everything else, and you go to get the official paperwork, Matter of fact, let me come on the
God, pause
screen.
real quick. God, pause real quick. Terry White wasn't Terry White. This happened in 2010. Terry White wasn't locked up yet. Terry White didn't even know what's going on yet. He didn't know she was lining him up yet. So I forgot when Terry White got locked up. Was it like 08, 09?
I'm not sure, yo.
But it was 2007 when he was driving up to visit Meech.
In Louisiana.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't get a chance to see him that particular day. From what the federal document says, it says she didn't get a chance to see him and spoke to him later on. But here's the thing.
Hold up. Before you continue 1 minute. You see, when I just talked about that case, right here is my paperwork. A 30-page indictment. You understand what I'm saying? When you talking about official paperwork, it is what it is. And that's the sad part, because for the simple fact that once it's in black and white, there's nothing that you can do about it. They said that from that 11-1C1, that was the first process of them using, the third party thing. And it was like more or less like the primary feces case. And they started using that just like they did with in Tut's case. Tut was the first one in New York State that the feds applied his state convictions to enhance him on a federal level. Once again, like I stated before with Born and them up on his channel, my uncle in 1969 went to jail for a bank robbery. Federal crimes were considered white-collar crimes back then. Back then, he got 21 years. When you got 21 years in the feds, you did 1/3 of your time. You came home. He came home within 7.5 years off a 21-year sentence. Once the feds went from that to 65 to 85% of your time, then it's a whole different reality. So for people to say, yo, it's not this, it's not that, his name ain't in the paperwork, it's in the paperwork in a lot of different ways. It's just what we choose to accept or not accept. So I'm gonna let you go from there, God. Go ahead.
Me? Born? What
You
you
good.
say, Born?
Yo, you remember what was it like 2020 when I was bringing up was talking about it?
I still don't believe it. But you was the first person that told me that Big Meech was a rat by way of a woman. You said he got women out here taking down kingpins to shave time for him or whatnot. I remember us having that conversation.
Yeah, that was in 2020. That's before it got all blown up like this. You know what I'm saying?
I the God said it best. The elder God said it best. It's all in what we choose to believe. And I do not choose to believe that Meech is a rat. He brought up a point where she said, where she went to talk to him, or she had talked to him, and Meech said, I don't know what's going on. That's the key words. I don't know what's going on. Keep my name out of it. He said, why would she do that? Or why would he say that rather, if he didn't know what was going on? Well, the first thing that popped into my mind is she already is running BMF Entertainment. She's the CEO of BMF Entertainment. She already has his life rights at this point. 3, he can't stop her. What can he possibly tell her in a crowded room that's being monitored by the federal government, or over a phone that's being monitored by the federal government, or this and that and the other, in order to get her to stop it? Like them, the first 3 things came to my mind. Now, she did blow the case up. So who knows? He may have gotten word to her to do something in some type of coded way or whatnot, because the case did wind up getting blown up and thrown out. The case against Cuff, that is.
Okay, God. The whole thing about it, once again, that everybody is overlooking. He met Suarez in the county jail. They developed a relationship. That man left telling them, I don't care how much money it is, I'm going to put the money up to fight for your release or whatever. Cuffy, everybody is overlooking him once again. Him and Big Meech's relationship started in 1990. They got pictures where Meech is Cuffy's daughter's godfather sitting on the couch when they 4 years old. Meech was getting money in Detroit, but he didn't see no real money until he ran in the cuff. Cuffy is the first one to have Meech touch $1 million.
But hold on.
I never
You said
believed
that, but hold on. No, hold on.
I don't believe that.
Let me hold on. I don't believe. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that because Cuffy probably bought $1 million worth of bricks from Meech. That's why he had to touch $1 million in the hole the first time. I believe he had $1 million throughout the years, but Cuffy was the first one that bought $1 million worth of bricks from Meech. You know what I'm saying?
I don't believe that
Okay,
either. You know what I'm saying, man? Cut it out. By the time they was branching out, they went from what? Detroit. I think it was a branch in Cleveland or a branch in
Cleveland, Ohio.
St. Louis, Atlanta. Like they it was kind of strategic the way they moved around and made like a circle back to the city. You know what I'm saying? When I saw the feds do state to state, it almost made like a shape leading back to Detroit.
Texas too. Don't forget Texas. Texas too. It was Texas. It was Ohio, where his grandmother was from. His mother was originally from Ohio. Mother's father originally from Ohio, I believe. Remember, that's where his grandmother lived.
Lord, is you don't go out of town with 100 bricks. You don't go out of town looking for people to become not looking for people to serve, looking for people to become a part of the organization. So you run like a well-oiled machine from state to state with just $1 million worth of work. That's measly. That's you know what I'm saying? Not when you're talking about building the type of operation that them gentlemen had.
And it was said that he met Cuffy in Atlanta. He didn't meet Cuffy in St. Louis. He met him in Atlanta, and they already had made up a deal for him to bring him that work to St. Louis.
Okay, and I agree with what y'all, is saying, right? And that's just like I say to it too. You got all the individuals that they might have made a whole bunch of money at one time and then went to jail within 2 to 3 years, some of them 8 months, whatever it be, that had a run. But if another individual stayed out on the street while you was doing 20 years and they got slaps on the wrist, wouldn't you think that they would see the same amount of money or more? What I'm saying in reference to it, if he met Cuffy in 1990, right? I know that with me, the height of the crack career in New York, I would say definitely out my way where I first got into the game was 85.
Yeah, 85,
so
86.
you're talking about from 85 to 90. That's 5 years. Okay? So when he met Cuffy, when Cuffy making the statement, there's a difference between you selling 20 bricks and 30 bricks or whatever and seeing 250,000 or whatever. But when you see $1 million in one shot off of that transaction, that's a whole different ball game right there. So my thing is, I don't see, because it's too many people that got credibility when it comes to Cuffy. And once again, when he had the rights or whatever to shop the movie, Cuffy said, I had $250,000 invested into that. No low-level individual is just going to have $250,000 just to put into something that they getting out the street, because we all know that street money is way different than legal money. So, like I said, once again, it's the ties that those two had And if a person didn't put them on to him, because when the case went sour with Suarez, they got to the point where they didn't even want Suarez anymore. That's when they put it out there on St. Louis, and they've been wanting Cuffy in St. Louis. So they went after him and more or less let the whole situation that was blown up because of the relationship between Keith Cromer and Tammy go by the wayside. And now they concentrating on bringing Cuffy in to the equation. Remember, it's supposed to start it out with the two bodies or whatever, and they agreed after everything was said and done, and it was coming out how Meech was involved with the situation, to drop the bodies and convict them of the gun. And even nowadays, he still got a shot because it's a ghost gun and they couldn't convict him without it. Another thing is that if none of this was true, I know if it was me, because I done wrote affidavits to get individuals out of the situation that we both was in. Why didn't Meech come through and write an affidavit stating that Cuffy had nothing to do with this whole Suarez and him with the alleged drugs and everything else that they were supposed to been doing with each other? Because he could have easily came forth and said, yo, my man ain't got nothing to do with this. He could have wrote an affidavit and changed the whole game. But not near time along the way has he said or done anything to help out Cuffy's situation.
I wouldn't help Cuffy neither. Cuffy been cooperating since 2005. He been engaging in consensually recorded drug transactions between himself and other people. For all we know, he did that with Meech, because Meech didn't go to jail till 2009. Second of all, Cuffy tried to send him certified mail.
Meech got locked up in 2005. He sat in the county at the federal holding facility until 2007 when he was going to trial. Remember? He went to prison
in like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, true.
But
I was just helping you. My bad, right? I didn't cut you. I was just helping you. That's all.
Yeah. Damn, you made me lose my train of thought, though, Lord. I don't even.
Cuffy. Talk about Cuffy. Cuffy was writing on how to be probably writing on him. And yo, hold up. Cuffy probably writing on him in 2005. Remember, Cuffy had got locked up.
That's right.
The 90s. He got locked
up
around the 90s.
It was during the 10-year stretch. That's right.
Yep. And then they were also saying, they was also saying that when Cuffy was locked up around the 90s, that's what Meech blew the fuck up. And they said, what Blue Da Vinci said was, it was a detective following him around. An FBI agent was following him all around since like 92, 93.
Since 89. Jack Harvey was following them since 89. Jack Harvey had hair on his head when he first started following Meech and them. And by the time he closed the case, the man was completely bald.
Here's the thing. It's just like, shout out to Pretty Girl 313330. She said, laughing my butt off. He wants him to incriminate himself. That's the train of thought I lost. When he sent him the certified mail, why would I respond to that? That seemed like entrapment. If I'm Big Meech and I truly don't have nothing to do with this, and I truly told her I don't know what's going on, keep my name out of it, why would I entrap myself by writing him something about drug trafficking activity and this and that and other, and sending it back through certified mail? They're going to check it before it leave, look at it, and send it to the detective, send it to the other jail, check it and send it to the detectives down there, and then they're going to both come together in a federal way and try to enclose him in some entrapment type. That's the way I look at it.
All right,
I wouldn't have wrote him back.
How did Tammy get Suarez's number? There's nobody that could have gave Tammy Suarez's number. Remember, she was a square until she decided to do all this cooperating shit. Where would she have gotten Suarez's number, and where would she have gotten Cuffy's number without somebody being in the middle to supply those numbers to her and send her on whatever mission that was needed to be accomplished? That's my thing right there. There's a foundation to everything. Suarez and Cuffy would have been totally unknown to Tammy without Big Meech having some involvement. There's no way. That's like me, you, and Born right now. I can't get your number or know anything about your number without Born supplying me with your number. There's like things just don't happen out of an air pocket. It's got to be some foundation or some connection. And Tammy, just like Blue Da Vinci said, that was my older bro when I was dealing with her 2003, 2004. She never came, hung out at the club, or none of that shit with us. We met with each other. And another thing is, Blue was his man like that. I'm quite sure that there's no way in existence that Blue would have that much animosity or anything against Big Meech to put this out there. 2017, he said the last time him and Meech spoke on the phone, he told Meech about the paperwork. From that point on, him and Blue Da Vinci never spoke to each other again. So my thing is, if you're my right-hand man and everything else, and you're bringing up to me, yo, bro, there's some paperwork out here that's looking kind of funny. After that point on, we still going to have some lines of communication with each other because you're the individual out there that could crush whatever is going to come out of that. But instead, he didn't deal with Meech anymore. That's the thing right there, God. Look at it. There's no way that Suarez and Cuffy could have came to knowledge with Tammy without Big Meech's involvement.
Hey, yo, God, what's up? Yo,
Suarez
God,
called Tammy though. Pardon himself. Suarez called Tammy, looking for Meech, I believe, or whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's the knowledge on how she could connect with, at least how he could connect, at least, or she could connect with Suarez or whatnot. Now Cuffy was riding around with her when he was out. You know what I'm saying? Blue Da Vinci could have gave him her number or whatnot. Blue Da Vinci gave him a car to go pick her up or something to try to get a deal for the movie and everything. So Blue could have connected that. Here's the thing. Somebody put in the chat earlier, when did Blue Da Vinci find out that she was an informant? And did he let people know? Because it is my hypothesis that Blue caught a case and the Fed stuck her with him to get close to that organization or whatnot. And once she got in,
I thought that too. I thought that too. And I also think Blue was in love with her. He wanted to fake like he was. But I think Big Meech was hitting it in 2003 because she said they've been knowing each other since 2003. And you know how the boys used to do.
2002, bro. 2002. And just look at what you just said, God, right? Even if Tammy called Suarez, right? Where would Suarez get the number to call Tammy? He don't know Tammy. It's got to be a connection with somebody that knows Tammy to give him the number to call Tammy. Nothing happens out of an air pocket. If two people don't know each other, the only way that those people could become connected is it got to be a middle source that knows both of them in order to hook them up. There's no way around it. And what Blue stated, once again, he was dealing with her in 2003, 2004. He didn't know nothing that developed by the time she started working with the feds in 2009 that this broad was working with the feds. So you can't blame none of that on Blue Da Vinci like everybody keeps saying, oh, well, no. If I dealt with a chick in 2013, 2014, and now here it is, 2023, this broad decides to become a fed or confidential informant. How do I know that now all of a sudden she been out my life 8 or 9
Yo,
years or better?
Blue
I
debriefed
don't know
though,
what
bro.
she doing.
Blue Da Vinci debriefed. He took a plea deal. It was called what was it called? What's that shit called again? Damn it.
It's 35. It's 35. Under statute 35. You got the 1K and you got the 35. The 35 is dealing with what role did you play in it. And they couldn't end up giving Blue Da Vinci but so much amount of time because what his lawyers was able to prove was that he played a minor role in this.
Proffer agreement. The proffer
Right.
agreement. That's what it's called.
Remember one thing about this whole thing right here with Blue and all of them. Blue was already a rapper. Blue had already been in little shows and whatever.
God, check this out, God. Check this out. Process. Let me to cut your wisdom. Check this out. But Blue also got caught with a limo full of cocaine and money.
No, they said that.
No. I'm talking about no. Listen, I said he got caught. He got caught with drugs in the car. He got caught with drugs in the car, some keys. He took the money that Meech had put to the side for his lawyer and thought he was gonna flip it for Meech. That's how he got caught up in the case.
All right, God. Now that's what you saying, but it's supposed to be that cat Marshall that had everything to do with them drugs and the amount of money that was found in the stash of the car. I ain't got no reason to defend none of them niggas because I don't know them niggas, but I've been listening to what they've been saying and the explanation to what's going on. And a lot of people the same way right now with Cuffy. If Cuffy was cooperating, if Blue was cooperating, then once again, the same thing that's going on with Meech or anybody that's ratting, let's produce the paperwork. And then I could go for that. But if we talking about laws and everything else, and there's a justification for why an individual got what they got, because once again, we talking about the feds. They not going to just let niggas off the hook. They're not going to just let you get 5 years if you got 30 years or whatever that's hanging over your head. Either you cooperated with them or it was some loophole that was involved. And the loophole that was involved, that even when Blue went through the briefing, everything that they was debriefing him about, they already knew, and his lawyer was able to get him that sentence under him having a minor role involvement in that RICO case.
Okay, well, the one thing stood out to me that you just said, Elder God. You said when we talking about paperwork and people telling or snitching or whatever they want to call it, let's produce the paperwork. I wrote that down when you said it. Now, do you feel from what you've seen out here, from what you read, from what you've heard, do you feel that they've produced the paperwork that proves that Big Meech cooperated, or at least I ain't gonna even say use third-hand cooperation. I'm gonna say, do you believe that they produced the paperwork that seals the deal that Big Meech cooperated in some fashion?
I've seen on another channel where the brother took his time to read it, and in that paperwork, in that specific line that he showed with the paperwork up there, it showed that Big Meech knew exactly what was going on. And once again, my thing is, when I'm just dealing with basic science, math, anything, common sense or whatever, my whole problem with the situation with Meech being involved with this is that, once again, nothing comes out of an air pocket. There's got to be somebody that would make this whole hookup. And why would Tammy make this whole hookup? And why Big Meech, out of everybody that he had in the street, not including that he could have just did his time and came home and got rich off of his story. Why would you sign your rights over to this broad, over your baby mama, over Blue Da Vinci, over anybody that's in the streets? You're going to take this so-called nondescript broad and put her in position where she could make a lot of money. If it's me and I'm on the other end and I decided to roll, I'm going to tell Shorty, I'm going to put all my rights to everything that's going on in your hand, but now you got to go out there and do this work, and I got somebody that you could do the work with. You got a cartel member that got busted. Remember when Suarez was in there with him, he was in there for them getting busted with 97 kilos of cocaine at the truck stop. Suarez beat that. Suarez used to refer to Big Meech as buddy. So according to me, all of the, from Sean G, from this one, that one, I've been watching all of this thoroughly, because once again, I don't want to put that on an individual that stand up. But my whole basis that everything is got to be a connection, and there's no way that the connection with Tammy could have been made with the Mexican Suarez and Cuffy without Big Meech having either given her the number to connect with them, or they had her number to connect with them. But either way that you go with the situation, it's got to be somebody that got the number of both of those parties that they can provide that information to Tammy in order for her to complete her mission, which is getting him a time cut. So that's where I'm coming from. And I've been watching all the paperwork with individuals sitting down from the Frank motion with Cuffy, you know what I'm saying? From the 11-1C1, like I said, once again, you already knew that homie was willing to do whatever it took to get back home. And remember another thing. Remember when they was running around talking about in 2018 that Big Meech was supposed to be released? Why would that be all out in the atmosphere if none of this was in motion? And my thing is right now, the way that Big Meech is, the death before dishonor and everything, as soon as an individual would have been talking about me being a rat, I'm getting up here and defending myself. The same way just recently with Jay-Z and this so-called 13-year-old girl and him and Diddy supposed to did whatever they did. You see that shit vanish because an individual is going to fight for their reputation, because outside of you being a pedophile or rapist or whatever on the street, to be a snitch is the worst thing that you could be. And my thing is, I can't see myself keeping my mouth closed while all of this shit is going on the internet. And if I got any type of paperwork that could dispute any of the paperwork, all the paperwork that them put out there, you said you read 1,000 pages. Other individuals say they got 700 pages. Other individuals say that they got this. So in the course of all this paperwork that's being put out there, my first thing as Big Meech is I'm going to get up there with my paperwork and say, yo, this is a lie, and all of this shit could have been dead. This shit is so big that, look at it, Diddy's story that went to the background.
Pardon yourself, Elder God. Big Meech did make a statement and say, I never folded, I never told, death before dishonor. That's the first thing. He made a statement. The second thing is he's on federal probation right now. I might have been a weak statement, but it was a statement nonetheless saying that I've never snitched. I don't care what they talking about. Now, number two, he's on federal probation. It's only so much he's going to be allowed to do, say, and everything else when it comes down to this type of activity. A lot of people think that 50 Cent trying to get him locked back up. You know what I'm saying? By antagonizing the situation the way he is or whatnot, and antagonizing the people around the situation. Hell, when Big Meech was in jail, they had to section him off because they felt like he had too much power. They said people was getting BMF tattoos while he was locked up. And he was creating basically a different power structure in the jail. He was moved once or twice, if I'm not speaking out of turn, behind those same terms. You feel me?
Okay. All right. Big Meech had no stabbings, no nothing while he was in there. Blue Da Vinci brought this out also. He disappeared for months at a time in solitary confinement. You got to have a reason to go to solitary confinement. I understand what you're saying. We're laying the groundwork for individuals, and we know we got massive followers out here that would love just to be a part of something, and especially if you inside the penitentiary. But when you disappear, just like individuals that have been in jail, and that night the COs come and get them. I done been in the county jail where the COs
I
come
see
and
that
get them
shit too.
and take them out at night. And then next thing you know, they whole fucking hood done been busted because they been out there doing work. We know for a fact that the feds got it set up right now. If I'm locked up and and this is another thing, right? If I'm Big Meech, I'm not going to use my woman to do none of this dirt because that shit could have easily came back if his woman became the CS1 on the case or anything else that was working with the feds. So of course, I would want somebody in that position that's not directly related to me or whatever, so that if this shit do go wrong,
God, part self, God, part self. Hey, yo, you there?
Part yourself, Lord.
We got Street Media TV. He got a big channel. He rock with us. He want to talk about the Cuffy paperwork because Cuffy. It says speak of Cuffy driver being arrested in a reverse thing with 2 keys, and the Cuffy arrested with 15 keys. It's in Cuffy's paperwork. He said.
Cuffy's an informant. I wouldn't doubt it, man. Cuffy, like I said before earlier in the program, I got who is it? Death Row, Gregory Griggs and Brian Collins' paperwork. In the paperwork, it states that there were several what is the word? Consensual recorded conversations about drug trafficking and drug transactions. This is well before Tammy came into play. See, that's why I don't understand why everybody is saying, oh, if it wasn't for Tammy, he wouldn't have got knocked and this and that and the other. Nah, the Fed's been on dog for quite some time. He just had to do the right shit. And them witnesses killing the federal informant was the right thing to do. And word, he killed 2 of them. I don't believe he could get out of that. That's a death sentence, man.
That's death sentence in the feds.
Okay, so why they drop the bodies on them and only lock them up for the gun charges?
Because
why would they drop 2 bodies and allow you to escape with 27 years as opposed to convicting you of the 2 murders, and especially murders of confidential informants? That's just like you killing police. So why would they drop that?
Because he told on the other. He told on the other ones. All right, go ahead.
That's why I said he's unintelligent, because why would you plead to this? He pled guilty. That's gonna make it hard for him. You can't go back and appeal on that. You play it out. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna get back?
They changed the law now. The feds and state, they changed the law. If you plead out, and sometimes you can still go for appeals now before you couldn't. Once you plead out, that was it. But now they got this thing where you could try to appeal your plea.
Pardon my ignorance on that subject matter, but still, though, like I say, okay, the elder God said it was ghost guns. Okay, why would you plead to a ghost gun if you know they ain't got no gun or this and that and the other? You feel me? Like it's just a bunch of questions surrounding this. You know what I'm saying? If Tammy's wiretap is the one that got you cooked, then why don't you fight the case? Because you know that one is blown up. They already got her sleeping with Cromer. That case is basically dead. So I fight everything. I let that come out in public. I let the ghost guns come out. How you gonna convict me of murder? You ain't got no guns. You ain't got no witnesses because they dead or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like it just don't seem like he's the most intelligent person. And oftentimes, a lot of the drug dealers don't be. They don't be the most intelligent people. Some of them are very smart, but some of them just know how to move in the streets because they've been in the streets their whole life. It's like a reactionary thing rather than a mental intuition or whatnot. You feel me?
Yeah.
You right, dog. And check this part out, right? You being a boss, right? Let's go a little further now. You being a boss, right? You come home to a situation that 50 Cent developed for you. BMF was known state to state, the United States, but once that TV program went up, you was known worldwide. He took your son, he paid for him to go to acting school so that your son, your physical son, could play you in this series. Made sure that he was able to gross at least $5 million. Whatever he did with the money or didn't do with the money is not in question. Okay? So now I come home as a boss in that position, and instead of me, because see, everything got to do, like they always say, it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? He could have went to 50 and said, yo, 50, you know how my name is bubbling right now. Let's do a concert for me and everything else. The same shit that he went to do with Rick Ross, that you already got to know that they got beef with one another. But yet, instead of you running this by 50, the man that gave you a shot because your son was put in position and got millions of dollars, you decided to do some goofy shit and go with this cat, Rick Ross. So to me, as a boss, and as much credit as they giving him for being the major kingpin, supplier and everything, to me, that's not moves of an individual that's thinking correctly or thinking like a boss, because you know that anytime there's a situation where individual got an enemy, me and you can't be getting money together and the individual takes shots at me and we got real beef, and then next week you hanging out with that individual in the club because now I don't know whether you done told this individual where I live, where my stash houses is, where everything that's going on. So just based upon that move right there alone, and like I said, once again, this shit don't make a difference to me one way or another. It don't affect my life. But as a person that's sitting back and watching the moves of a so-called boss and a kingpin, you had everything set up for you. You could have went through your jail stories. You could have went, you had a shot at making 30 million to another $150 million, but you would throw all that away for a concert with Rick Ross that never turned out, to be involved with a car show that now you look recently, since everything done blown up with the concert, Rick Ross done been back to promoting his car show, but he ain't talking no Big Meech shit. So I feel like he was used and everything in this whole situation without even first thinking about how much detriment that he was going to cause to his son's position and everything else. And once again, like I said, the life for the ego is the death for the group. You cannot live like you lived it 20 years ago out here on the street, like how you live nowadays.
Yo, God, on that note, God, let the guy finish.
Pardon yourself, Born. I got to retort to that. Please allow me to retort, Elder.
Go ahead. I'm good.
You said some things right there, and I agree with some of the stuff, but let's get to this. You said he took 50's son. I mean, he took Big Meech's son and this, that, and the other. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary. What he did with that was make an investment and making more money. He said, you know what? If I take his son and send him to acting school, I probably have a better shot at anybody else than getting the life rights to this story and producing this. So you know what? I'm gonna do this so you can play your dad and this and that and the other. And that was an investment in more money. He didn't invest in Big Meech. He didn't invest in Little Meech even. He invested in making more money. That's why he sent the boy to acting school, because he knew that it was a bigger draw if Little Meech can play Big Meech on the screen. Now that's the first thing. You know what I'm saying? Big Meech being a boss, you can't contain no boss. If I'm a boss, you can't tell me I can't go left if I want to go left. You can't tell me I can't go right if I feel like going right. So with that being said, I don't owe you no loyalty once the business is done. They not partners. Them niggas wasn't hustling in the streets together. They did business. Now, if we doing business and I can't afford to pay my bills after season 3 of BMF is over with, and my son has got a minuscule amount of money in his bank account, then of course I'm gonna do what I need to do in order to feed my family. These are the things I'm not upset with him about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna wait around for 50 cents to give me a check if I'm a boss. I'm gonna go make my bread.
Yeah, he could have asked 50, but I didn't say, but he could have asked 50 like do the same thing. 50 don't mind people don't mind doing that. I don't think. It's when you jumped out there, and we got off the whole topic to talk about Big Meech being a snake. But hold on, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something. I feel you on that part, but one thing I know is business. 50 took it personal. I know it's business because when Little Meech sent 50 that text message, he was like, "My pop just needs some money to next season to get paid for next season." He's like, "What next season, little nigga?" That was classic, bro. Yo, if he could do that to his own son,
you can't tell me as a man though that was cool.
That wasn't cool, bro. It wasn't cool. But it was funny though. It wasn't cool, but it was funny. He did it to his own son.
At all, God. I gotta disagree. It wasn't funny at all because if you look at the earlier interview, Lil Meech looked at 50 like a father figure.
He said like
Meech came around. I mean, 50 came around, took him under the wing, sent him to school. You know, he gave him advice when he needed advice or whatnot. And for you to take that role that you played in his life and flip it on him to try to destroy him, call him a drug addict. Y'all didn't know I had to take him to the rehab because he was throwing up on set. Oh, come on, man. That ain't cool. You expressed that man personal feelings to you, man. You know I fuck with you, man. You know we cool. He was just doing that to make some money and this and that and the other. And you put it out in the public and make a mockery of him and a relationship, the bond that you created with him. That's not cool. Nor is it man shit. You know what I'm saying?
Now see that what he did with Little Meech, I didn't like. But the shit that he did with Meech, I didn't kick him. Meech is a grown man. You know what I'm saying? Little Meech, he did say he was like my second father. He's like you're 50, like my second dad. And when he said that, but you know what? And I believe 50 might have felt some type of way for him too until he see that nigga like Rick Ross post when he was cracking on 50 on Instagram. The nigga hearted Rick Ross post and did a laughing emoji or something on it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep it real. Now I ain't going with no New York Queen shit, right? I'm just gonna go with real shit once again, right? 50 has always been the nigga that been loyal to people that fuck with him. Okay, let's go back to Tony Yayo situation. Tony Yayo, whether he got locked up for a gun for 50, whatever it be the situation, right? He went to jail. They blew up. When he came home, because of the beef, the real street beef that was going on out there, he put Yayo in Manhattan in a plush apartment, put $1 million in his account and everything else. Okay? Next, we got Young Buck, you know, that he bought a Bentley for, that when his taxes was fucked up, he paid his taxes. We got Game. No matter what Game did in the music industry, ain't no album that he put out since the documentary that sold over 4 million copies. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when it comes to 50 give individuals opportunities, but everybody knows, and this is where I give 50 his credit, because it's certain rules when you cut from that cloth. You can say, yeah, Big Meech, it is his
Our boy
own
Mark
man,
White,
and that,
to the building, salute.
right, that's all true and dandy. But what I'm saying is, and that's once again when we started this out, that as a thinker, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go and get next to an individual that got problems with an individual that's allowing me to eat. And my thing is that I believe that no matter what Meech wanted to do at that time, like you said, God, it was in his best interest to do what he had to do for Big Meech's son, Little Meech. And that's just the foresight when you dealing with business. But at the time, he wasn't no actor. So he spent that money for 2 years, and it still wasn't no guarantee that Little Meech would have been picked to be, you know what I'm saying, that part. He still had to go and have an audition with stars to get that part. So along with you getting my son into position, $5 million was generated. And that $5 million was generated. There should be no reason within your first 1, 2, or 3 months home that you in a position now that you got to ask for money.
Yo, if somebody $10,000 pair of jeans and $500,000 change, you see
Right.
them
What
BBM chains?
what Yayo said, and the cat I just seen last night from Power, Omar, he said that 50 had ended up loaning them some money, 20,000 and 23,000.
Amari Howard.
A lot of times, individuals get in that position, and it's just like the drug game. You think that money is gonna last or keep coming all the time, or you get in a position where you made the money, but now you gotta wait for the money. It's nobody's fault that money and the opportunity that Little Meech had, that he should have been walking around with $10,000 jeans or go buy a BMF chain for $500,000, because y'all know how fast that money could go. So for Big Meech to be in the position where you needed money for bills, you could have went to him. The biggest beef with 50 is that when he wake up in the morning and now all of a sudden see you standing next to Rick Ross talking about doing a concert without first having the respect to even say, yo, look, 50, this is what I'm trying to do. Now, if 50 turn it down, then you got grounds to make moves with whoever you want to make moves with. But once again, it all boils down in life. It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Hey, yo, God, let the guy finish it off, because he got to go pick up the babies. So, you know what I'm saying? Let him get the last word. Go get the last word, Lord. So
Let me see, Lord. I'm gonna say this, man. I acknowledge what you're saying, and I just like you said earlier in the broadcast, it all comes down to perception of what you choose to believe. I, for one, you said 5 million was generated. Okay, cool. But we all know Meech left his son at a very young age, so it starts with the foundation. He wasn't there to teach him how to maintain his money, to teach him to save more than he spends, and this and that and other, to teach him how he blew money fast when he was in the street. That falls on the mother and the other people that was in his life as his structure and his system or whatnot. You know, we can't blame Meech. We can blame Meech for not being there. You know what I'm saying? We can blame Meech, but we can't blame him for the way the money was spent when he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Nah, the money isn't there when I get home. Okay, we can't blame Meech again for going to generate money in order to take care of his family by any means necessary. And then you brought up Tony Yayo. Man, if I was Big Meech, I wouldn't want to be looked at the way Yayo is. Yayo is a lapdog. He's a puppy. He do whatever 50 Cent tells him to do. Look how 50 Cent just treated him 24, 48 hours ago when he said something. He said 50 Cent is crazy on Vlad TV. 50 Cent go right on Instagram and drop a video of him dropping his drawers on stage, talking about, but I'm crazy, but I had to act like this was planned. Nobody is up. 50 ain't got no loyalty to nobody. So I don't feel like anybody should be stressing about having loyalty to that man. You know what I'm saying? But I would love to verse with you guys anytime, man. This was a wonderful build on the Wisdom God build, and I appreciate your time, your space, your energy. I appreciate your acknowledgement. Hopefully we can get together sometime soon and do this again.
No doubt, God. I appreciate you, giving me a chance to express myself, God. So, salute. And we all gonna continue to build, my channel, Gods in Them Streets. I'm getting ready to get back on it, because like I said, that's the vehicle. I come from the stages of where we was out on the street corners teaching, but now we got social media where this could go worldwide. And I want y'all to keep in mind that's out there that's watching this video. If you come up with some bogus shit talking about the 5% nation of gods and earths, I'm gonna be on your lost self. So we gonna see what type of comeback my man come with behind this right here, because we definitely put him in order with what he talking about with, the father of law and the 5% nation in general.
All right, for myself. Before we get off, I want to say, Tom York, how much did Meech and Tammy get for the life rights for the show? We know that he paid for the life rights of the show, and he also paid Little Meech within the four seasons, approximately $5 million so far. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how much they got for the life rights. We know Tammy probably got a lot more money, and she probably was pitching money off the Meech and T. You know what I mean? If you sell a life rights for $150 million for 50 Cent, you sold him for $150 million. So he gave you 150. What you do with all that money, Tammy?
No, boy, and I think that 150 million is what 50 got from Stars. And you got to keep in account, he still got to pay other actors, budgets, everything that's involved. From what I heard, I think Tammy's supposed to sold it to him for maybe $1 million, and she kept like 800,000 and spread it another 200,000. But I'm not going to, put that as an actual fact, because that's just something that was placed in the atmosphere.
All right, yo, I appreciate you, bruh. Yo, it was a great build. You know what I'm saying? This is King of New Jersey, BTBTV, Mr. Eastwick, God in Them Streets, Shabu, and we got Ozo Odin here. Like we said, peace. Let's get up out of here. I was about to say my slogan, bro, but you be talking shit.
Do the slogan, bro. Do the slogan,
bro. We ain't no Bloods or no Crips. We doing our whole thing. BTBTV that started this whole game like nigga. What?
Like what, nigga? We be back next time.
Peace to the gods. Peace to the gods.
Peace.